On today's video, we have got a limping steer, a screaming bull, and a cow with an axial fissure. Welcome back to Nate the Hoof Guy. First up is our brown Swiss cross steer who came up limping out in the pasture. Our job is to figure out why. One of the misconceptions out there is that pastured animals have nice clean hooves and no hoof problems. This one proves otherwise. It's packed full of stuff. You probably also notice as I'm trimming this hoof that it's not a very large hoof. That's because it belongs to a not very large animal. This steer is maybe only 500-600 pounds, which may seem like a lot, but as far as cows go, it's not that big. I know it. Someone's already typing in the comment section. What is a steer? Well, a steer is a male bovine that can no longer reproduce. Now, right in here is the obvious problem area. There's a hole. Now, typically, this would be what we would call the typical sole ulcer site. But to find a sole ulcer on an animal that's raised on pasture, on a low energy diet, well, that would be odd. And this is definitely not an ulcer. Something else has happened here, likely because he's on pasture. He stepped on something, whether it be a rock or a stick or something that poked its way through. Now, there was nothing in there that I could find, but the problem persists. Now, because I know something had poked through here, what I'm looking for is that area of separation. I'm going to work my way down, seeing if this develops into anything else, if we find a pocket up underneath there, just slowly paring this away. Did you hear that guy? Our work here has drawn the attention of the herd bull, and he doesn't like us being there. When something enters their space, bulls tend to become territorial, and this guy here decided to tell us about it. Now, overall, he's pretty friendly, but just in case, we put him inside. We've seen other bulls, like this guy on the channel before. He would bluff, but generally harmless. Randy, on the other hand, he was an ornery one. He sure was ornery, but even he got tired of his own antics. So this guy here is a teddy bear in comparison. Even still, we'll leave him inside. Get a look at this claw here now. You can see we've taken it all the way down in there. There is nothing left inside there, and there is no separation, so whatever it was just kind of poked its way in. Even still, this hoof is tender. It's the reason we've got him in the chute. And so we're going to get a block on that other claw, take the pressure off of this, at least for the meantime. It's not going to have to stay on very long because that's going to heal over on its own. But like I said, we're going to get this block on, then we're going to work a little bit more on that just to make sure. And you're going to be able to see, for some of you that may think, hey, you just got to go further and then you'll find the problem. You're going to see as I remove a little bit more of that hoof horn, it's going to turn pink around there. That's a clear sign that you're not far from that corium.
Used to have that commercials where they use that super good.
So now that I've thinned that down a little bit more, you can see that mark. You see right above it, that pink coloration. That is the stop zone. When you start to see that, you know one more knife stroke and you're going to go into that corium, which is what we want to avoid. Clearly, there's nothing else in there, so I'm going to clean this thoroughly. I'm going to put a wrap on it just to cover it up, make sure nothing else gets in there until that can firm up nice and solid. That block, of course, is going to keep his foot off the ground or keep that claw off the ground. And we're going to let him out. I'm going to take him out a different direction. We're actually going to run him backwards through the chute because we were kind of set up different for this guy. We're just here for him. So we let him out, and he decides, I'm good, and he trots off. Now, on to our next one. And this girl, well, I think we can see where the issue is here. Definitely got a problem. That problem is actually hidden up inside those claws. That's right, axial fissure. You can see here, this fissure has caused some sole separation as well. As that problem persists inside that axial wall, it can actually make the sole separate around it, and that is exactly what's happened here. And would you look at those nice, new, fresh gloves? Now, there are few things in life that are better than, for a hoof trimmer, I should say, that are better than a brand new, fresh pair of gloves and sharp knives. We've got both of those today. Now you'll notice as I trim this medial claw, I'm not removing hoof material all the way up near the heel. What I'm trying to do with a hoof trim is to improve that foot angle. And usually that means increasing that foot angle. By leaving that heel or that more hoof horn toward the heel, that's how we create a better angle there. Now, I'm also going to put a block on this claw, so we're going to change that a little bit as far as elevating that other claw. But you can see here I didn't trim all the way to the top. That's to improve that angle. There, that's the problem we got to deal with. We've got a fissure in between those two claws, and it's going to work its way up toward the top. So we got to pare that out like we've done before. We've got to get that hoof wall that's separated there. We've got to get that removed and make sure we follow that crack all the way until it terminates. If we don't, it's going to continue to crack, and we're going to have a problem that persists even longer. So we're working here. We're going to slowly remove that little piece there. You can see that. That's where that fissure is. It's working its way up between those claws, so we got to remove all of that. Not only is this a tricky area to try to film me working on, it's also a tricky area to try to work on. You're working on an area that's hidden in between those two claws. You can't get really the right amount of leverage it takes to get that hoof wall removed, but we do our best. You can see how that crack is working its way up. We got to get that all the way out of there. We got to make sure that that crack terminates. We're going to work it all the way up to the hairline and remove any loose horn around that as we go. Hopefully, if we can get that completely cleared, any lesion that's in there then can heal properly, and that new hoof wall will begin to grow from the hairline and work its way down. That takes time. We got to make sure that that crack is out of there so it doesn't continue to damage that new hoof horn as it grows. Having that task completed, we can get that salicylic acid wrap in place and get a block on that other claw. While that glue is drying, I'm going to move around, trim the rest of those feet, and we're going to get this foot down and let her go, and we'll give her a little test drive, see how she's doing with that block on. Why the wood block? To add some stability to this foot. Sometimes with axial fissures, they want to rock back on that toe. This wooden block is going to help keep that stable and prevent her from rocking back. 882 is done. I'll let her go. You can see that foot is nice and stable. That's what we want to see. Until next time, thanks for watching.